They told her everything was ready. The lights were set, cameras were live, and her glam was halfway done. Rasheeda sat still in the makeup chair, one eye closed, her phone buzzing on the counter beside her. Vibrating against the palette trays like it had something to say. She didn't check it. She was too used to noise, too used to headlines, too used to pretending nothing shook her, not when production was watching. But then a whisper cut through the noise, soft enough to sound like a warning. A producer leaned in, eyes wide, voice low, "Don't stop filming." And that's when everything changed. Rasheeda didn't know it yet, but the ground beneath her marriage had already cracked. The betrayal wasn't new. It was ancient, recycled, disguised as growth. But this time, it wasn't a rumor or a messy DM. It was a document, signed, notarized, buried under contracts and paperwork, hiding in plain sight. And the worst part, it wasn't just a new scandal. It was a revival of the old one, with the same woman who had nearly destroyed her world once before. Jasmine Washington. The name alone felt like a curse she had outlived. A ghost from a past she thought she'd buried. But ghosts don't die when you forgive them. They wait, quiet, patient. And this one came back printed in ink. According to whispers, the contract was discovered by accident. A junior producer, scanning location release forms, found a folded page attached to a shoot permit. Nothing unusual until they noticed the signatures. Two of them. One, Kirk Frost. The other, Jasmine Washington. And it wasn't about child support. It wasn't about co-parenting. It was about silence. A financial and legal arrangement made behind Rasheeda's back, with clauses that screamed cover-up. One section read, "No storyline reference to be made in season 13 involving either party." Translation: Jasmine was getting paid to stay quiet while Kirk pretended everything was fine. And just like that, the illusion shattered. Rasheeda didn't find out from a producer, not even from Kirk. She found out the way most truths surface in reality TV. The internet got there first. It started with vague tweets, a cryptic IG story, then a deleted clip from the VH1 page showing blurred-out documents on a coffee table, and a panicked look on Rasheeda's face. Fans didn't need context. They put the puzzle together faster than production could scrub the footage. And then came the headline. Rasheeda Frost files for divorce after hidden agreement between Kirk and Jasmine surfaces. No press release, no brand statement. Just a Fulton County filing that read, "Marriage irretrievably broken." After over 2 decades of loyalty, children, humiliation, healing, and public forgiveness, it ended with paperwork. Clean, cold, but far from quiet. When the news broke, Kirk didn't post. He didn't explain, because he couldn't. This wasn't a misstep. It was strategy. The agreement with Jasmine had been signed months before filming began. And while Rasheeda was preparing for another season, another reunion, another brand collaboration to keep the image of Black love alive, Kirk was finalizing an arrangement that erased her from the narrative entirely. The fallout was instant. Rasheeda didn't cry when she saw the documents. She didn't scream. She didn't flip the table. Instead, she paused, mid-glam, staring at the mirror like she'd just spotted a stranger in her reflection. She stood up, walked to her trailer, and locked the door. Makeup half finished, mic still clipped to her shirt. One of the crew knocked softly, unsure whether to follow or let her breathe. Inside, she sat at the vanity. No script, no camera cues, just a woman staring at 25 years of sacrifice. Knowing none of it had protected her from this moment. She didn't hesitate. She picked up her phone and called her lawyer. 3 words, "Send the papers." That was it. Not a conversation, not a breakdown, just resolve. Clean, final, real. Outside, production was panicking. The timeline was shattered. The season arc, already outlined in color-coded boards, meant nothing now. One producer tried to pivot the moment. "Maybe we can use this as a turning point," he said. Another suggested delaying the reveal. But the show was no longer in control. Rasheeda wasn't just reacting, she was done performing. And while she disappeared into stillness, Jasmine re-emerged with purpose. The woman who once brought Rasheeda to tears on national television, who once denied, deflected, and disappeared when things got messy, was now walking into the mess with her chin up. Days after the news hit, she posted a video, silent. Just her signing a document. Zoomed in. Slow motion. The caption, "This time, I signed first." No names, no shade, but everyone knew. The internet exploded. Comments flooded in. Speculation, condemnation, admiration, chaos. Screenshots followed. Alleged text threads between Kirk and Jasmine, revealing a timeline that painted him not as a victim of circumstance but an architect of deceit. "Let me handle it before Sheeta finds out," one message read. Another, "This ain't for cameras, it's real life." But the most damaging, "Just keep it off the storyline. We good?" That one, it got quoted on every blog, and Rasheeda. She said nothing, not on camera, not online. Her silence was louder than the noise, because this time, she wasn't waiting for the story to be told, she was reclaiming it. The silence didn't mean weakness, it meant clarity. Rasheeda wasn't broken. She was wide awake. And that terrified everyone, especially the network, that had relied on her pain for ratings. For years, she had played her role. The strong one, the peacemaker, the wife who forgave publicly and swallowed betrayal in private. But this time, something shifted. It wasn't just that she was hurt, it was that she was done pretending it didn't hurt. The network didn't know what to do with that. Inside the production van, panic spread like fire. Editors were being told to review hours of unused footage, hoping to craft a narrative that made Kirk's actions look like a misunderstanding. "Maybe we can lean into his fear of losing the family," one exec suggested. But none of it worked. Every attempt to spin it fell flat. Because the audience had already seen the raw footage, the moment Rasheeda walked away mid-scene, mic still on, dignity intact, while everyone else was still scrambling to figure out what happened. And Kirk, he didn't chase her, didn't follow her to the trailer, didn't knock, because deep down, he knew there was no talking his way out of this. Not this time. He tried anyway. 2 days later, a private sit-down was proposed. Just him. No cameras, no producers, just a conversation. But Rasheeda declined. Not with words, with absence. She didn't show, and when he texted her, asking to meet, her response was simple: "Talk to my attorney." That message hit harder than any argument they'd ever had. Because it wasn't anger, it was detachment. And Kirk knew the difference. Meanwhile, the cast started to shift. Spice, usually neutral in drama that didn't involve her directly, began liking every post supporting Rasheeda. Behind the scenes, she was vocal. They used her like a storyline, and now they mad she's writing her own ending, she told a crew member during a mic check. Yandi pulled out of a planned shoot with Kirk entirely, texting production, "I'm not co-signing coward behavior, period." Even Carly Red, always ready with her spoon and teacup, kept her distance. "That man got too many secrets and not enough spine," she said in a confessional that never aired. But it was Erica Mena who lit the match that burned through every fan comment section. On an unfiltered IG Live, wine glass in hand, she spoke directly into the camera. "I told y'all, in season 7, he'd been trash, but everybody said I was hating. Look at it now. Rasheeda deserved better. But loyalty don't change a man, it just drains the woman." Boom, viral. Screenshotted, dueted, millions of views. And the hashtag started trending. Hashtag, free RASHEEDA. Inside her world, Rasheeda wasn't celebrating support. She wasn't watching the memes or reposting the quotes. She was moving in silence, strategic, measured, powerful. First came the press release. Frost Bistro had updated its website. New ownership listed, Rasheeda, sole operator. No fanfare, no headlines. Just a silent power shift that said everything. Then came her beauty brand, rebranded, relaunched, renamed. No more recycled slogans. The new tagline was a declaration, unbreakable. Every product label printed with that word. No mention of Kirk. No tie to the past. Just her, standing tall in promo shots. No filters, no rings. A woman who chose herself and sold out. In under 2 hours, the internet exploded. And just when fans thought she might finally speak, Rasheeda posted a single image. A mirror selfie. No makeup. No caption. Just a hoodie that read, "I stayed too long." That picture hit 1 million likes in one day. Comment sections turned into war zones. Some praised her silence. Others dragged Kirk like he owed them all reparations. But one thing was clear. The narrative had shifted. Rasheeda was no longer the woman holding the marriage together. She was the woman burning down the cage. Kirk, on the other hand, was unraveling slowly. He started showing up late to scheduled shoots. Got spotted by paparazzi arguing with a Frost Bistro hostess over a reservation that didn't exist. Then, one night, he posted a story. Just black background, white text, Sometimes loyalty just makes you stupid longer than you should have been. 5 minutes later, he deleted it, but the screenshot was already viral. Fans debated the meaning. Some said it was shade at Rasheeda. Others believed it was aimed at Jasmine. But either way, the damage was done. He looked bitter. And bitter never trends well, not when you're the one who signed betrayal into Ink. Production. Desperate to salvage his image, pitched a redemption arc. Therapy sessions. Tearful confessions. A solo confessional interview. Kirk agreed. He sat under the hot lights, rubbed his temples, and tried to look remorseful. He even got through the first few lines. I know I've made mistakes. But when asked why he never told Rasheeda about the contract, his answer ruined everything. I didn't tell her because I didn't think she'd react maturely. Silence. The room froze. A producer's mouth dropped. The editor's hands stopped moving, because that one sentence erased any sympathy he could have earned. It went viral before the episode even aired. Blog titles popped up instantly. Kirk thinks betrayal requires etiquette. Kirk calls Rasheeda immature for finding out she was betrayed. Loyalty means nothing when you're the only one loyal. And then came the fan comments. Brutal, loud, and united. Maturely. You ain't even tell her you had a deal with the woman who almost broke your family. You weren't protecting her. You were protecting yourself. Kirk thinks silence makes him right. It just makes him dangerous. As Kirk spiraled, Rasheeda rose. Not with noise. Not with a clapback, but with results. She launched a new campaign, pressed Reloaded, the Freedom Collection. No Kirk. No marriage narrative, just her. A solo image, arms folded, standing in front of shattered glass. The tagline, Wear Your Power. The pre-orders crashed her site. Again, she said nothing. But her moves were speaking for her, and when Tamron Hall invited her to a full-hour interview, syndicated nationwide, she didn't flinch. She showed up. Black suit. No jewelry, no tears, just grace. When asked, when did you know love wasn't enough? Rasheeda responded without blinking. When I saw the contract, not just the signature, but the pattern. That clip. Over 4 million views in 48 hours. Because this wasn't just a woman walking away. This was a woman choosing herself. Publicly, unapologetically, and finally. And the power in that, it was bigger than any cheating scandal. It was a wake-up call. And somewhere behind the scenes, VH1 executives were panicking. Because what they had tried to shape into a juicy mid-season twist was becoming a cultural shift. Fans weren't just watching, they were calling it out. The formula man cheats, woman forgives, reunion showdown was cracking. And Rasheeda had rewritten the ending. The reunion taping didn't feel like a celebration. It felt like a funeral. Energy on set was tense, cold, unpredictable. New security was stationed at every entrance. Green rooms were separated. Legal reps hovered off camera, whispering into headsets, scanning seating charts. Rasheeda hadn't confirmed until the last possible moment. And even then, her only condition was clear. She would show up when she was ready, speak when she wanted, and sit nowhere near Kirk. The cast whispered about it. Production tried to maintain control, but control left the building the moment the betrayal hit the blogs. What was once scripted chaos was now real, raw grief on display. And everyone knew it. Kirk sat in silence, waiting, fresh cut. Black jacket, no smile. For once, he wasn't smirking. The room wasn't giving him a villain edit, he was earning it in real time. Every glance from the cast felt colder than the last. Even Carly Red looked disgusted. Spice didn't speak to him. Yandi crossed her arms every time he adjusted in his seat. The loyalty was gone. The pity had evaporated. And the cameras. They caught all of it. Then the doors opened. Rasheeda walked in late, all black, no earrings, hair pulled back, no entourage, no glam, just presence. She didn't scan the room. She didn't need to. Her silence was a storm, and everyone felt the shift. When she sat down, no one moved. The host, usually quick with a joke or dramatic intro, went quiet. The cue cards felt like dead weight. Even the stage lights seemed dimmer. Finally, the taping began. The host started soft surface level, recaps light shade. Then came the first real question, submitted by a fan. Why didn't Kirk tell Rasheeda about the deal, and does he regret it? Kirk cleared his throat. The room tensed. I didn't want to make it worse, he said, his voice low. I thought I could manage it before she had to know. Groans, eye rolls, side eyes. But Rasheeda, she didn't flinch, she just waited. Then she spoke, steady and sharp. You keep saying you didn't want to make it worse. You don't realize you are the worst. Silence. The host swallowed hard. Production didn't cut. The crew didn't blink. Because they knew that was the line, the one that would echo far beyond the episode then. In a twist no one expected, Jasmine Washington was brought out, not for a fight, not for a viral brawl, for clarity. She walked in calm, white dress, clean face, no smirk. The crowd didn't know how to react, and for once, Jasmine didn't play into the drama. The host asked if she had anything to say to Rasheeda. She paused, looked down, then back up. I didn't come to stir anything. I signed that deal because I knew he'd come back. He always does. I just stopped pretending I was the only one who knew who he really was. She looked directly at Rasheeda. I never hated you. I just stopped waiting for you to hate him. Gasps audible shock. Even Carly's eyes softened. Rasheeda didn't blink. She nodded slowly, lips tight. You were never the problem, she said. My mistake was thinking staying would earn me respect. The applause came from the cast first, then the crew, then the audience. It wasn't polite. It wasn't rehearsed. It was earned. Every clap was for every woman who stayed too long, for every survivor of emotional manipulation dressed up as love, for the quiet strength that took years to voice. Kirk tried to speak. He opened his mouth, but nothing came out, because there was nothing left to say. Rasheeda stood, mic off, no hug, no wave. She walked off stage, calm and cold. Jasmine stayed seated. Kirk looked lost. The camera didn't follow Rasheeda to her dressing room. There was no need. The moment had already burned into history. VH1 aired the segment uncut. No music overlay. No dramatic edits. Just silence and truth. Fans called it the most honest moment in franchise history. Tweets poured in. Clips trended for days. The hoodie, I stayed too long, sold out within hours of the episode dropping again. But that wasn't the end. The cast followed Rasheeda. After the reunion wrapped, one by one, they left the stage. They weren't staging a protest. They were recognizing a shift. Rasheeda didn't just walk away from a marriage. She walked away from the performance of loyalty. And she wasn't done yet. A week later, she dropped a surprise announcement. A docu-series. Not with VH1. Not with Mona. Independent. Executive produced by Rasheeda herself. Title: The Break Doesn't Mean I'm Broken. First episode teaser. A slow montage of her rebuilding her life, intercut with scenes from old seasons. Voiceover: They said I was strong for staying, but I was strongest the day I left. The internet lost it. Fashion deals followed. A collab with a major beauty retailer. Speaking engagements. TEDx invite campaigns around emotional resilience and healing. Rasheeda was no longer just a cast member, she was a blueprint. Meanwhile, Kirk faded. His apology tour never took off. Fans didn't want the redemption arc. The contract, the silence, the smirk, it was too much. Blogs moved on. Brand deals dried up. And every time he posted, the comments reminded him, you signed the exit. As for Jasmine, she didn't chase the spotlight. She didn't return to the show. She didn't pitch a spin-off. She lived in the background. Podcast appearances, business moves, quiet acknowledgement, and maybe for the first time, she stopped being the villain, not because she was forgiven, but because the real villain had finally been unmasked. But the loudest message came from the audience. They weren't just viewers anymore. They were witnesses to a woman choosing herself, to a narrative being rewritten, to a formula being broken. No more cheating for ratings. No more woman-askdom. No more pain sold as entertainment. The comments said it best. She didn't just walk out of a marriage. She walked out of a storyline. The strongest scene. No scream. No fight. Just truth. This wasn't reality TV. This was a revolution. And the most viral line of all. She gave everything. Now she's taking herself back. That was Rasheeda's final word. Not spoken. Lived.